Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Now let me ask you a question. Would you like £200 a year off your energy bill just because you've got a heat pump? Well, that's exactly what Ed Miliband is considering right now. Want to know more? Then stick around. About a week ago, I came across this article in the Sunday Times. It said that Ed Miliband is considering giving £200 a year off energy bills to households with heat pumps. And that got me thinking, why should homes with heat pumps get a reduction on their energy bills? Surely there's better ways for government to be spending their money. So before we get into that, let's talk about what is being proposed. £200 a year is roughly 15% off the average household's energy bill. Now this assumes that you don't have solar and batteries, you don't have a smart tariff or anything else. The standard Ofgem numbers that they use for an average household within the UK. A £200 a year reduction would equate to about 15% off your bill. Now, this isn't some new scheme that the government's going to have to spend years trying to find the money for. This is going to be funded through the £13.2 billion that has already been allocated to the Warm Homes Fund. That means the money is there, it's ready to be spent, it's been signed off by Parliament. And Ed's objective here is to make electric heating more attractive and then accelerate the shift away from gas as a way of heating your home. So why does this matter? Well, the reason is that heat pumps are generally 3 to 4 times as efficient as a gas boiler. Now, I'm sure some of you are going to write mine's 5 times as efficient. I agree with you, but the average is somewhere between 3 and 4 times more efficient than a gas boiler. But electricity costs 4 times more than gas when you take out all the smart tariffs and all the ways of getting cheaper electricity. If you're paying standard rates for your electricity, then you're going to be paying about 4 times as much per kilowatt hour for electricity than you are for gas. Now in the UK today, most current heat pump owners and those considering getting a heat pump installed are generally from higher income households. And this is a risk. This is a risk for the government. Remember, the government said they want to be the government for everybody in the country. So to be handing subsidies to middle class families whilst people are having to make decisions about do they eat or do they heat their homes in the winter could be seen as a risk. Now, the press, I was going to call these things newspapers, but the rags, they will argue that people who are fuel poor, people who are in debt to their energy companies, should be the primary focus of the government. And to be honest, they're not wrong. Now, if they were to go ahead with this could also undermine their current climate policy. We're already seeing huge amounts of information from the right-wing press being pushed out that's not strictly true about what net zero is and why it's a bad thing as far as they're concerned, but this would just amplify that. And to government, this is all a risk. So how do you make it fairer? How do you make it so that if you're going to introduce a scheme like this, that more people get to take advantage of it? Well, one of the ways that's been proposed is that using that Warm Homes Fund, the lowest 30%, the lowest income 30% within society could get free upgrades, heat pumps, solar and batteries, insulation to their homes to bring them up to a modern standard. And I think that's going to be key. If they're going to try and incentivize people who can afford it to get a heat pump because they'll get lower cost electricity for it, they also have to lift the bottom 30% of society as well to make sure that they can still afford their energy bills. Now, all of this money is going to come out of the Warm Homes obligation. This is a fully funded program, so there's not going to be any extra taxes or additions to your energy bills to pay for all of this. And the key to this succeeding is going to be publicity. It can be the best, easiest transition in the world, but if the press don't get on board, people don't support this, people aren't out there actively encouraging people to get heat pumps installed rather than telling them that you're all going to freeze and it'll be the worst decision you've ever made, then this is just not going to work. So the government needs to hire an incredible marketing team if they're going to go ahead with this. And this all needs to fall in with the bigger picture. We all see the small bits as they come up, the sound bites on TV. Most recently, the grants have come back towards an electric car. But coupling this heat pump scheme with the electric car scheme, the current boiler upgrade scheme, the insulation and cavity wall programs that are already in place, all of this comes together to help reduce the UK's carbon emissions from heating. And currently, about 14% of this country's carbon emissions come from heating our homes. But as I say, this needs to be fair, this needs to be equitable for everybody, not just people like me who can afford to install a heat pump. They really shouldn't be the top of anybody's list. Now at this stage, this is nothing more than a proposal. This is an article in the Sunday Times of somebody who's been talking to government ministers who want to talk off the record, as they always seem to want to do when they know they'll get into trouble for leaking this kind of thing. But this is something that has been actively considered by Ed Miliband. Now, what do you think? If you don't have a heat pump today, you're currently sitting on the fence saying, should I, shouldn't I? Would £200 a year off your energy bill for, say, the next 10 years be enough to convince you to go ahead and do it? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. And if you already have a heat pump, if you're in the same position as me, you've already installed it, should you receive the grant? Personally, I don't think we should. We've already made the calculation, we've already understood, we've gone into this completely with open eyes and said, yes, this is what we want to do. To be rewarded later, I think that money could be better used somewhere else. Anyway, that's it for this video today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know if you are on the fence, whether that £200 a year off would push you to get a heat pump. I'd love to hear what you think. With that, it just remains for me to say thank you for clicking on this video. I hope you enjoyed it or found it useful. And if I'm lucky, I'll see you back here real soon for another one. Take care. Bye-bye.